All right, guys, we're live. We're only a few minutes late. That's good for us.
That's my fault. I'm sorry, guys.
No, it's we had a lot going on today, and trying to pull up here so I can see the comments, so we can kind of keep an eye on that. But David and I were on earlier on America's Voice with Dr. Jenna. Some of you may have seen it, but we had a short opportunity to kind of let people know that there is a remedy. I know Boris Epstein brought up the other day that there's remedy to the situation as far as to the 2020 election. And what I want to do is keep this as we're going to talk specifically about the 2020 election. We're not going to go off tangent like we normally do. We have fun. So we're going to not have as much fun. And but we are going to get to the gritty details of what happens. Now, I've had a lot of people ask me, and I wanted, potentially for Dr. Jenna to watch this or Boris Epstein to watch this so they can understand the details of why, in the background of why we feel this way. And like I said, it's too hard to do it in a 5-minute segment or 6-7 minute segment. And I know they understand that as well. But I truly appreciate her bringing us on to let people know that there is something else out there. And I truly appreciate that, from Dr. Jenna. So, but let's get into it. So, David, we were talking. We've had a lot of people ask us after the fraud is shown, after it's shown beyond a reasonable doubt. Okay. Maricopa County court system, everything, right? It's going to go through. They're going to show beyond a reasonable doubt that there's fraud. They cheated. We caught them. We got them red-handed. Then what? Now, because Jenna's telling us you can't decertify at this point. It's too far past. We can't decertify the elections. It's already solidified. It's concrete. We can't change it. We have to just work on 2022 and accept it. I find that very hard to believe. I know why. I know because we talked many times about it. But what do we do at that point as the people?
Well, two things can happen. First of all, we don't necessarily have to go to a court to prove anything. Number one, if there's things that are found and the people see things that are wrong, and let me just give you a quick explanation because you've hit on this before and I don't want people to miss this. Number one, Virginia Constitution lets us know that if there's a danger of maladministration, if the government is going against the people's happiness and security, right? The people have an indubitable, indefeasible, right, inherent right now to change the form of government, to change their constitution at will, right? That's Bill of Rights of Virginia, Section 3. When we understand this, we got to get out of this mindset that we have to prove all this stuff to people who took part in trying to hide all the stuff that we'll see. See, what's happening is the bar attorneys want us to believe that we must overcome the court system, which all the bar attorneys are officers of the court. So the officers of the court want us to believe that we have to have the permission of the court to correct problems. And that in itself is a problem. It's a conflict of interest because the people are the ones who have a contract with government. When the government officials become inadequate, the people have the right to remove them. So we don't
have a contract with the Bar Association or these lawyers. It's just the government. All right, I'm being a smart ass, guys, just so you know.
We've been tricked into believing that the attorneys help the government officials to do right. But we realize that every time we try to get someone to step up for us as an attorney and demand audits, what ended up happening was the bar went after them. So we have to come to the realization that really the bar is going directly against what the people want. So two things could happen. We could go by the court process and show the stuff in court. But the problem is the attorneys, once again, are going to help with cases. The attorneys are going to draft things up. And because they're taught wrong when it comes to jurisdiction, status, and standing, they can lose even with evidence. That's a messed up situation. You can have all the evidence in the world, have technicalities that are not correct, and lose. Number two, we can just use the power of the people to say that we're done with this and come together as a majority, which we already have on the conservative side. Now, I'm not a Republican or a Democrat, right? So when I tell you guys this, I'm just telling you based on what the truth is. As the people, you have the power to reform, alter, or abolish when there's maladministration. So if you never found anything, the simple fact that the Board of Supervisors were allowed not to turn in the ballots to the treasurer is maladministration. The very idea that it took so long for people to address the issue, maladministration. The very fact that they kicked out people from the polling stations or the places where they went over the ballots, that is enough for maladministration because there's no authority for them to do that and they're acting outside of what is just. Now, people will say, but why don't you have to take
people
that?
Scan the ballots 2 or 3 times in a
Oh, yeah. Double scanning, which they said never did anything wrong, and they let it go until Candace Taylor put out affidavits. Then next thing you know, they wanted to talk about everybody's a criminal now.
Exactly.
Funny how that works. But the people have witnessed things that are wrong. Now, understand, people, do not feel like you don't have the power to make a decision, because when a jury is going to find if somebody's guilty and put him in prison for life or a long time, you are the ones who are the jury. When a grand jury wants to indict somebody, you are the ones that are the jury. So don't think that it takes some special, powerful judge and attorneys to prosecute a matter. As a matter of fact, in this case, it seems like attorneys and judges are trying not to hear matters and let people hear evidence. It is our right to hear evidence. Go ahead, Josh. I'm sorry.
No, I'm just saying that's true. We talk about the court system and the direction the jurisdiction is standing going into the court system. What would you tell these lawyers that are doing this, that to keep them from doing that, to keep them from using the statute administrative court system versus the common law constitutional system as far as the separation of the two?
Well, I'll give you a perfect example. The attorneys try to tell us that there's no common law anymore. And really what they're trying to do, they have moved common law out of their administrative system that they're using to deal with the business of the people. When the people come before the court as people with necessity, the court is forced to move under the common law, but you have to give the differentiation between being one of the people and a person. If you start using statute, they're going to assume or presume that you're a statutory entity, a person, and they are going to use discretion. If you're one of the people, ARS statute 1-201 tells you that when you come as one of the people by necessity in the physical conditions of the state, real beings, not corporate entities, that these government officials in every court are forced to use the common law as long as it doesn't go against the laws of the United States, the laws of this state, and the Constitution, which understand that the laws of this state, the Constitution, and the United States Constitution are all made based off of the common law. So when they tell you, as long as it doesn't interfere with the laws of these, the statutes have to be created in pursuance of the Constitution, was created from the common law. So that is the difference. The attorneys need to stop using the jurisdiction that's wrong. Furthermore, the attorneys needs to get affidavits done outside of court under 28 USC 1746, and they need to use the one that is without the United States. Within the United States is the District of Columbia, and you're giving discretion and jurisdiction to the administrative hearing officer judge.
Correct.
If you do it the other way and you do it by affidavit, you are actually holding a court case outside of court, giving the other side a chance to respond, and then the matters can be adjudged. That way, the judge can't interfere.
And that way, that arbitration between that or with that is based on constitutional law or common law, and that's the status that the people are in. So don't let them trick you into thinking you're a person. We're not a business. We're not a person. You know, we don't work for the government. As one of the people, we have that right. Now, would you suggest that once we have this evidence collected and we have it out there,
Josh, can I FLJJ asked a question that I think other people are going to wonder too.
Okay.
Real quick, I'm going to say it. So people said, hey, how come you're using Virginia Constitution in Arizona? Yeah. Well, if you read Virginia Constitution Bill of Rights, Section 3, you're going to see where it says when government is created, what they're created for. Then you're going to see where they say when any government does this or that, you can remove them. Any, right? So the forefathers were teaching you how republics work. And so Arizona is a republic, Michigan is a republic. They all work the same. The people have rights. The government doesn't get to write statutes against your rights. So you can use the rights of people all over the country because those are rights of the people, and every man is created equal. Now, you're not going to use their individual constitution, the part that's the trust indenture that tells the duties and the activities that a certain officer is supposed to be over. But when we declare our rights as the people, that's what we do. And we all have those rights around America.
Yeah.
Go ahead, Josh. I'm sorry.
David's right. No, I'm glad you addressed that, because I was going to actually bring that up because it gets brought up every time. That right that we have in Virginia in the Bill of Rights is they're interchangeable, guys. These state lines are just wiped out. What happens here can happen there, and vice versa. And in Virginia, like you were saying, and I was just reading, the common benefit, protection, and security of the people, nation, or community.
Yep.
Okay, so when nation, that means the nation. That means everybody. That means every state, every republic. The Republic of Arizona is within that. So it all ties together. So don't think that you have to use just Virginia if you live in Virginia, or just Arizona if you live in Arizona. That's not true. So keep that in mind as you go. Now, David, would you suggest that when we have this evidence and it's presented, that the people, for example, could take the evidence that is presented, put it in an affidavit, and demand that our servants do what we ask by whatever we ask them to do? Now, I believe the term "however" is used in Virginia, and that pretty much means however we feel like it, however we want. Now, correct me if I'm wrong with that.
No, other states also say however. Other states say in whatever way that fits the public good, the most. However, the people deem that is necessary and proper. So we left ourselves the authority and power to remove government and create the method. See, this is where we mess up. The attorneys try to teach that everything must be done by procedure. Everything must be done by some written thing that has to tell you in detail how to do it. So then if one of them don't tell the legislature to write something, it can never be done. Your forefathers were smart. Your forefathers are like, look, however y'all come together and decide as the majority, y'all want to get rid of these people, that's what y'all do. Y'all want to get together and write affidavits and say we don't want them anymore. We want half of these people removed. We want the government reformed. They have to do it. Now, some people would say, how do we remove? How do we know that's going to work? Would it seem aggressive? Well, let's understand something. The people have the 100% guaranteed right to remove anyone who's bad or government that's bad and reform at will. So what we need to understand is it wouldn't be us that are removing government. It would be the people removing those who are going against what they swore to as government. Big difference. When you are the one that's in the right, the other one is doing things by wrong. So some people who are fearful and weak and cowardly, they will say, well, look, how are we going to remove them? First of all, you give them notice of what the law is. And when they see what the law is, you'll see that across the country, these government officials are starting to move. So that's the first step. Give them notice so that they can no longer say, oops, we didn't know. We thought we were supposed to rule over everybody. That's what the attorneys are telling them, that they can rule over the people. When someone says there is nothing we can do based on the Constitution if things are wrong, that's telling that the government officials can steal, rob, and whatever, and it's okay, and it's not.
Yeah. Now, David, we had a conversation, I won't say with who, but we hear this when we brought that up before they read this information. They were like, come on, guys, you can't just do whatever you want. The people just can't do whatever you want. You can't just make up what you want us to do. Really? Okay, well, let's read Section 3 of the Virginia Constitution and the Bills of Rights. It says, against the danger of maladministration, and whenever any government shall be found inadequate or contrary to these purposes, a majority of the community hath an indubitable, inalienable, and indefeasible right to reform, alter, or abolish it in such manner as shall be judged most conducive to the public will. So
There you
that
go.
pretty much tells me that we could come together as a majority and decide how we want to proceed. And that is what has to happen.
Super simple and easy.
Now we would put that into, I assume we would put that into an affidavit form for everybody to fill out, to sign, to get notarized and send in all at once and let them know. Now, what do we do if they don't listen? What do we do if our servants do not listen to us and listen to the majority based on our constitutional right? What do we do then?
Let me help you. That would be the most foolish thing in the world. Because here's the thing. The only reason some government officials have not done everything we said yet is because they don't know yet. They didn't read it yet. But you know as well as I and everybody in every other state, as soon as they start seeing the lawyers are lying to them and they see what the real law says, all hell breaks loose. And it has been. Look in Georgia. They're talking about criminal probes. They're talking about people who they are allowing now to be subpoenaed when they act like there was no bad stuff that happened before. Funny how the difference between a couple of days and a couple of thousand affidavits just change your mind, right? So what we got to understand, the same thing happened in Arizona. People started telling on each other, started flip-flopping a little bit. Some people tried to slow walk. Some people tried to figure out what to do. And then they were like, holy crap, we're stuck. Let's go. Right? So the thing is, I don't believe that anybody's that dumb to let 54 million people find out in 6 days that you're breaking the law and say that you're going to just stand in people's face and desecrate their constitution. I don't believe there's anybody in America that tough. So what I believe is that they're going to see the truth. It is spreading like wildfire. Other people are going to hear the information, and the powerful people we have in the comments are going to spread it. And what's going to happen is the government is going to fall in line because they have always realized that nobody wanted the people to know the truth as bar attorneys and the elite government officials. As soon as the people know the truth, you can no longer enslave them. And so now that we're learning the truth and we know so well and we know better than the attorneys, all they're going to do is shut up and move and do what we say do, because they know they swore to that. We're not saying anything that's violent. We're not saying anything that's wrong. We're saying you swore to this. If you really want to just walk the other way and not do what we tell you to do based on your position as our servant, then we're going to remove you. And here's the thing. When the government officials see what we're doing, the sheriffs see what we're doing, and all these other people realize they're going to go to prison for playing, they're going to turn on each other. Just like they're doing criminal probes now in Georgia. They weren't doing that before. They were covering each other. Now they want to do criminal probes because they know that we're coming and there's no stopping us. So just know, anybody who decides to fight their oath to the Constitution are probably going to go to prison for 20, 30 years or more. So I don't think it's bright. It's a very dumb idea.
Well, I do know we talked earlier about a few things that can be the final piece, the final puzzle, the final puzzle piece to everything. And we're not really letting that out right now because we don't want them to know. We don't want them to know. Yeah. And but there is some other things we can do. Now the one thing that happened out here, the people that recalled Rusty Bowers, they had some administrative errors in the recall, but they did show that they had the people and the numbers to recall people. Now, if it was done correctly, it would have been a full recall. Now, this is going to happen around the country, because if these people think they're going to get away with this, the people around the country, we're going to target you in your district. All the resources are going to go towards getting you out of office, and you're not going to have a job any longer. And if you think you're safe, good luck. It's kind of mess around and try it, right? So
mess around and find out.
Mess around and find out. It's not. You're going to be surprised about the number of people that are really ticked off about what happened and what's not happening.
Probably should walk
and there's also, built-in, yeah, exactly. There's these built-in financial penalties too, and that's going to happen as well. We're not playing. We're not here to play games. This is not a threat. We just want you to do your dang job.
I see the thing is that people can't just stand in the people's nation and decide that they're going to do whatever they want to do. You swore an oath. Don't get mad at anybody else for correcting you after you swore the oath. You swore the oath. You said you will let the people stand and have their power, and that they can correct errors. And Missouri Constitution tells you that the people have the right to regulate their internal government and the police thereof, it's very easy to understand that our forefathers left us in charge. Mm-hmm. So this whole idea of playing a game like, oh, maybe we won't figure it out, or you're going to just hide, you're going to just leave it alone, we're probably going to stop talking. 54 million people saw 15 channels in 6 days. Please don't think that hundreds of millions of people are not learning every single day what's happening. And, you know, things are fun when you're the one running things and others don't know and you're just doing whatever you want to do. But as soon as the boss comes back, it's a mess, because they're going to tell you what to do. And it doesn't matter how much power you gain, they're going to make sure the company is what it needs to be. And that's exactly how we set up our trust indenture called the Constitution.
Yeah. I was talking to Matt Couch earlier. I screenshot, I showed you that, David, that, you know, hey, how did our, you know, how much reach did we get? How was the viewership with our video we did with Matt? And he said it's a several 100,000 people saw it. So guys, don't believe the fake news in the corrupt social media platforms, you know, minimizing, showing us how many people are actually watching versus how many people are likes and this and that. They're basically just erasing likes and erasing viewership. They might show 565 people right now, but we probably got, you know, we could have
thousands.
1,000, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So, I mean, they're literally suppressing this information, you know, so don't worry about it. Just ignore it. Go about, get the information out, and don't worry about those types of numbers, because they're going to be fraudulent anyways. It's like Dominions running in social media. They just rolling them back, rolling those numbers back to try to discourage you, you know. And I don't let it discourage you. Keep moving forward with everything we're doing. Hey, you know what? Oregon visited the audit today, so we got Oregon visiting the audit, and oddly enough, Daniel Woods sent out affidavits. They sent out affidavits in Oregon within the week. And all of a sudden, Oregon's here visiting, even after the audit's pretty much over, but they're here visiting. Just another coincidence, you know.
Daniel Wood went after Nevada too.
Yeah, liberal Oregon is here visiting. So think about that. So,
what does that tell y'all? What does that tell you guys is happening when people who laughed a couple of months ago, couple of weeks ago, about there being any issues with this whole 2020, you know, setup, they laughed. Right. But the funny thing is, as soon as all these things start hitting, affidavits all over the place, notices all over the place, people standing up, people understanding the law, you're telling me that those people are just going to come to our state for nothing? Mm-hmm. If I thought it was a conspiracy theory hoax, I wouldn't be on anybody's airplane. Shucks, some people tell me some stuff is real and I still don't go.
Exactly.
So, hey, it is what it is, but we're winning, guys. We're winning. God is busting the door down. He's doing the Jericho situation. He's doing the Gideon situation. He's using those of us that he has built up to knock this thing down. He's using you guys to share information. We are winning, and they understand that we know the truth. They understand that we are victorious, and they're afraid, and that's why they're there. So you guys get excited. Please give yourselves a pat on the back. You guys have worked so darn hard. You guys have brought people together. You guys have done the mission that God has given us to do, the stuff that other people didn't want to do, the stuff where other people dropped the ball. You guys have done it. Josh Barnett has kicked major butt against the odds when people told him it wasn't possible, laughing at him. He was taking massive action. And he can tell you guys that he's talking to the government officials who are doing the audit. So the thing is, don't doubt where you can start and where you can end up. Just know that God has given us some amazing victories. It is beautiful.
Yeah, no, it is. It is. And keep sharing the information, people. That's how we win. We got to educate the masses, so we don't let people like Jenna Ellis try to tell us otherwise. And we can tell her, you know, the average person on this YouTube page can tell her, no, that's not true. And here's why. Boom, 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 boom. This is why you're wrong. And that's what we got to do. We got to keep spreading the information.
That's right.
We have to educate the masses. Like we stress that every time we talk. Please share it. Please talk to your friends, your family. Let them know what the real law is, what the real Constitution says for the state Constitution primarily, and your Bill of Rights, your Declaration of Rights within it. Read it, study it, understand it, know the difference between public and private, know the difference between administrative courts and common law constitutional courts, or I guess is what you want to call them. That's the people in person. So understand those differences and study it, because that is how we win. And we're going to be sending notices, as we have been, to our officials, to our elected officials, and honestly, we've sent stuff to the bar. So as well, we're notified. They can't play dumb. When you tell somebody something, they could be like, "Oh, I forgot. Oh, I don't remember. I don't recall that. Or I didn't get that email. Oh, I must have missed that text message." But when I send you an affidavit stating it, you can't play stupid anymore like you don't know. Now you know. Now we expect it to be corrected. And if you don't correct it, there's remedy to that situation. There's arbitration. For example, that's just one example. So, we're not going to put up with it. And we're going to see things all the way through. And we really don't want to come at people like that. We just want you to do your job that we elected you to do. And that is the will of the people, to do what we ask constitutionally, what we ask you to do. We're not asking you to do anything that's not out of bounds or unconstitutional. We're asking you to do your dang job
that you swore to.
Yeah, that you swore to, and we're not going to accept anything less. And I don't care who you are. I don't care how much I like you as a person. This is business, and that's how I treat it. And that's all we can ask for out of an elected official. I was teasing David. I go, when you win and go to Congress, I'm going to have less power than I do now, to be honest with you. You really do. When you really understand the Constitution and the power of the people, the constitutional authority of the people, and how the hierarchy, I guess you would say, of power in the United States starts with the people, starts with me and you right now. Not them. They try to act like it's them, but it's not. It's not them. They work for us. And that's just the more we keep pushing this narrative, guys, because it's the right narrative, the more we keep spreading that information, we're going to start reversing that thought process, even of their elected officials. We're going to start reversing that thought process. We're not going to put up with it any longer. Those days are over. So take that attitude, guys. We wanted to keep this pretty short tonight because we wanted to be kind of straight to the point. I'm going to come back with a video to discuss later on, probably tonight, maybe later tonight I'll get it done, about the sine die here in Arizona. And, and the remedy behind that. And that's why it's, I'm not too concerned with it, really, to be honest with you right now. Because there's ways that we can get the results out. There's ways that we can get information out without being in a full session. Okay, so don't worry about that. I'm going to explain that. So I will come back and we'll talk about that later. But thank you everybody for coming on and share this video. And let's keep fighting. Never give up.
We love you guys. Kick butt.